This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
One of Faber's long drive went wide, picking up Jaden Schwartz, hounded by Zuccarello. Rossi tries to dig it free. It comes free for Boldy in front. He scores! A loose punt, and Boldy buries it. He's off the snide, and the Wild off and running in 2-0 Minnesota.
Wonderful week so far for the Minnesota Wild after the gritty win against the Kings. They shut out Seattle last night. And here comes head coach John Hynes. Coach Hynes, Paul Allen, good morning. Congratulations on a successful week so far.
Thanks, PA. Good to be with you.
Yep, likewise. Up 3-0, 4.5 minutes into it. Yeah, that happens a lot. I mean, it's how nice was it to be able to breathe so early in a game?
Yeah, you know what? It's nice. I mean, in one perspective, it is really nice, but the other perspective is we haven't done it a lot, so you want to make sure the guys don't take the foot off the gas as well. But
right.
It was nice. It was really good. It was a great start for us, and it's nice. It is nice to have a little bit of breathing room, and then you can just go play where it's not every single play could be the difference in the game.
Head coaches just do not permit themselves to smell the roses, basically ever, right? I mean, that's kind of a prerequisite of the job. I'm certainly not taking a shot here, but I mean, you're right. I mean, the minute you're like, wow, 3-0, holy cow, we almost can't lose this game against that team. When you start thinking like that, that's when you get beat, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of head coaching is you have it's almost like the telescope and the microscope, right? The microscope is what the now is, but you always have the telescope view of, kind of the total picture, the mindset, making sure that the guys are doing the right things. Whether you win or lose, it's the same thing. So the only time you really to be honest, the only time you kind of chill out a little bit is probably right after the season when all the meetings and everything's done for a couple of weeks, and then you're kind of right back to it.
Yeah, preach with that answer. That was beautiful. With Johansson scratching late due to illness, what's the process to get Liam Ogren here from Iowa? Is it like a call or text saying, "Hey, hustle north, but don't speed"?
Yeah. You know what? We had an idea, obviously, with Johansson with his sickness. So Liam was an emergency recall. So we have a process that one of our assistant general managers talks to the general manager of Iowa, who is another one of our assistant general managers. They have the conversation, coordinate everything, and then he's here in time.
Yeah, that's beautiful. He scored for you too. The Bogosian pass, it was excellent too. I mean, he made it at the perfect time. What impresses you with Ogren's maturity in knowing? I mean, and he knows he wants to be here. They all want to be here, but it doesn't necessarily work like that and he's tearing it up down there. So there has to be a maturity element with him, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for the way Liam is going about it. It's really the normal process of a development for a player where they have NHL attributes. They come up and they get some time with us. They go back down to Iowa. They perform well there. They get another opportunity. They go back down. It only works if the player, as you said, has a little bit of maturity about him and understands this is his process. And when he goes down to Iowa, it's not, quote unquote, a demotion. It's an opportunity to play bigger minutes, more minutes. He knows he needs more experience. He embraces the opportunity, and his game's grown. He's much more detailed. We have more confidence in him to play him against, anybody. He didn't get sheltered last night. Now, because he's developing his game, you're starting to see some of his attributes come out more and more. His speed, competitiveness on the puck, his shot, his overall confidence. So credit to him. He's really handled the process the right way.
We heard Joe with the Boldy goal and the highlight into the segment. Good for Boldy this week, too. I mean, excellent setup Monday for the Zuki game winner and finally lit the lamp last night. What has impressed you with Matt's game during the stretch he couldn't get a goal?
Just the fact that he dove into the team. There's times with a player like him who is a highly talented offensive player who probably more than anybody, any of us, wants to score, wants to produce, believes that's the best way he can help the team. But as a more mature player, you understand that if your process, if it's not going in for you, is your process correct? Can you continue to tweak and do little things? Yes. Don't veer off that. But on the other side of it, of being a guy that plays big minutes for us and gets a lot of ice time, is he also focused on, he was responsible defensively. He killed penalties really well. His competitive effort was there. So he's still helping the team win, not just in the way that I think, he probably takes the most pride in, but maturing as a player, didn't veer off, just kept doing the right things. And that to me is it's a great process for him to go through. It's great for him. And I'll tell you, in the long run, it's going to be great for our team and the organization to have a guy with that mindset, with that talent.
John Merrill, the 2 times ago we saw you. He was scratched the day of the Carolina game. Didn't seem to be too happy with it, and seems to have responded nicely. In what ways has Merrill of late helped with Brodin down?
Well, I think Johnny's helped as of late, and to be honest, I think he's helped all year long with the amount of injuries that we've had on D, with Spurgeon being out for a while, the amount of time Brodin's been out. Johnny's had a great year for us, and that conversation we had, you have to have those, right? You have to make a decision as a coach. The player doesn't have to like it. He can express what he wants, but I like it. I don't mind a little bit of pushback. If your game's in order and you're playing well, and I have to make a hard decision for you to be out of a lineup, and you express that to me, I like it, because there's a little bit of fire there. Now, with that being said, he's been very consistent for us. Defends very well. I think he's moving the puck. He stepped up in a big way for us with the amount of injuries we've had, and that's why he's a good pro. And if he didn't have the commitment and the type of year that he's had for us, with the amount of injuries we've had, I don't know if we'd be in the same position.
John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, victorious 2 consecutive this week, and they get Buffalo this weekend. Is Brodin close to returning? I don't know, like maybe for the Sabres game?
He is close to returning. I can't guarantee you it's for the Sabres game, but he is close to returning. He's ramped up his return to play protocol. So, it's close. I just can't give you a specific game when it will be.
Excellent. The goalie, Gus, he has been so consistent of late. When you say, quote, he's using his time wisely, end quote, what does that mean?
Well, when you're playing the games that he's playing in the schedule that we've had, where it's basically a game every other day, I think he's using his off time wisely. He's mentally fresh for the games. He's physically fresh for the games. And when he has those 2 things combined, a mental freshness and a physical freshness for him, then he's usually playing at his best. So that lends itself to he's using his off days the right way. He's getting the rest that he needs. His focus is there, and he's playing at the top of his game right now, which, make no mistake about it, we needed him and Fleury during this stretch to come through for us, and both guys have done that.
So with Bus, John, in what ways, if any, did the 4 Nations experience help him?
Well, I think probably first and foremost, I don't know 100%. You probably have to ask him.
Right.
But in looking at the big picture of it, I think anytime you get, the opportunity to play for your country in that high marquee of an event, I think that boosts your confidence. You're well thought of in the NHL circles of a high level goalie. You're well thought of in your own national team at the highest level. So that in itself, I think, props a player up and gives them confidence in that. And then I think he went in and played well. Obviously, he didn't feel well at one point during the tournament. But I think even getting away from here a little bit, being around his own, guys in his own country, I know the players love that. Those events, and I think he's come back, hungry and a little bit refreshed, and it's great to see him play the way he's playing.
Rossi last night got dinged up on with some Boldy friendly fire. Did it hit between the pads? And if so, how much must that hurt? Holy cow!
Yeah, it was kind of in a little bit of a dead area on the padding.
Gee.
I think there's a little bit of padding there, but not much because it's an odd area. So obviously it stung him pretty good. So hopefully it's nothing serious. But that's not an easy thing to do. At least it wasn't wasn't where Zuki got it earlier in the year.
Are you counting on Rossi for Buffalo, or is it wait and see?
It's wait and see right now. It's, today is one of those days where you kind of, I haven't talked to the trainers yet. So
right.
Usually later today I'll have a better idea. And then we got the practice day tomorrow. So wait and see right now. 2 more for Coach Hynes. We appreciate the time each and every week. Hartman's time away seems to be bearing its fruit, right? I mean, what impresses you with Ryan's detail-oriented approach to his game? In my time with him, I've seen, I think that he used the time wisely. He accepted and bought into the plan that we had for him during this time. But probably most importantly, I just think the mental reset for him. And, he's a good player. And when he plays, he's really fit, which is important because the game's, fast and you have to play a tenacious game. So he has that. But I just think his mindset, as you said, I see more focus, more attention to detail when he doesn't have the puck from a defensive standpoint. And when he does have the puck, there's much more purpose to his game. He's using his shot. I think he's making purposeful plays when there's opportunities to make plays. And when he doesn't, he's not trying to hope or force a play. He's just managing the puck to set himself and his lineup to be able to play in good areas of the ice and not be stressed under attack all the time.
Last one, Coach.
Wild.
Fair to say this season has been a testament to survival. I mean, now with Moose down, Johansson with the illness, and I'm sure he'll be back soon, and we're talking about Rossi and all the others. How are you guys surviving?
It has been. I mean, it's been obviously a lot of injuries. You can't hide from that. But kind of as I talk with the team about, I think one of our biggest competitive advantages is that we're a team in the true sense of the meaning. And what I mean by that is the players have bought into really buying it from day one, even throughout training camp. We have to be good away from the puck. You can't win in this league regularly if you don't play with strong structure and you have attention to detail. And you care about keeping the puck out of the net. We have that, whether we have a full lineup or whether we have guys out of the lineup. So that gives you a chance every single night. And then, I think the guys have bonded together and we play hard for one another. The depth in the organization has been better for us, which we went out and did last summer to get through these things. And, sometimes it's not always pretty, and over 82 games, it's not always going to look good. We've never used it as an excuse. But at the end of the day, we can respond, and the guys, our biggest competitive advantage is the guys are bought into being a hockey team and all that entails. That's allowed us to continue to be where we are.
That's awesome, man. Get the guys healthy, tear it up over the weekend, and I'll see you soon, okay?
All right, sounds good, man. Have a good one.
Yep, see you. John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild. Now, the other side of the story, our beloved Hal. All hail the Hal. They've lost 2 in a row to 2 non-playoff beatable teams. We'll chat about our favorite squad, the Minnesota Timberwolves, with their Radio Vox, Alan Horton, next on KFAN.
To Randall, left side. Julius on the run against Brown, shoves off, kicks to the corner. Nas for the lead. He missed it. And the Pelicans have the rebound with 43 seconds left. The Wolves don't have to foul here. They trail by 2.
What's going on, Vox? Thanks for the time.
PA, how are you, my man?
Excellent. Alan Horton at Wolves Radio via the tweet machine, radio play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Timberwolves, coming up on 2 decades. What happened last night?
A lot of the same things that happened against the Indiana Pacers on Monday night, unfortunately. Here the Wolves were winning 8 straight, and then they play a shorthanded Pacer squad and then an injury-riddled Pelican squad. And they just didn't come out and play. They didn't do all the things that they did in the 8-game win streak, which was have an intensity from the opening tip, treating the game with the proper respect that it deserves. Because if you mess with the game messes with you. And unfortunately, the Wolves have not come out with the right intensity, the right focus. And like I said, you can just see it in the way the Pacers and Pelicans played. They looked like the better team for the majority of the games. And the Wolves, have to get that back. And I just think it symbolizes what a up and down season this has been for the Wolves. Let me sum it up like this. I mean, the Wolves started the year winning 6 out of 9. Then they lose 7 out of 9. Then they win 6 out of 7. Then they lose 6 out of 9. They win 13 of 19. Then they lose 6 of 8. Then they win 8 in a row, and now they've lost 2 straight. So I don't know if you can get, if the definition of roller coaster has the Wolves 24-25 season in the dictionary yet, but it might, because it's been that kind of a roller coaster. And as good as they've looked during those win streaks, they've looked just as bad during the losing streaks. So it's been a real up and down roller coaster, serpentine, whatever kind of adjective you want to use. It's been that kind of a season.
I matched up with the TV last night, and I got it super close, so I was really able to enjoy it. And
nice.
So when I make a statement that I feel they're getting outworked, and especially around the rim, I can't remember what part of the game it was, but I mean, I'm not saying you were apoplectic, but it was like, rebound, Robinson Earl tipped and then tipped by Missy, and then Robinson Earl, and then Hawkins tips it, then Missy tips it, and the Wolves just couldn't grab it so many times. Why is that happening? Why are we getting outworked around the rim so much?
Yeah, I think that kind of typifies some of the issues they've been having, but those were the things they were doing well during the 8-game win streak, and it's just, I don't know what's changed, and I don't know that the players can put their finger exactly on what causes you to do things the right way for a period of 2 to 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden you can't duplicate those things. I mean, that's the mystery of sports, I guess, right? On a real spiritual level, like how can you come out? And I mean, that's what makes great teams good, or great teams great, is that they do it on a consistent basis. And I think back to last year when the Wolves won 56 games. They came out and played at a really high level every night. And it doesn't guarantee you're going to win every game, but you're going to win a whole lot more than you lose. And the Wolves just haven't been able to duplicate that consistency night in and night out. And that possession I think you're talking about was like, there were like 4 or 5 offensive rebounds, and it must have been fourth quarter, and it just, it just kind of typified how hard the Pelicans were playing, and just the Wolves just could not muster the same kind of energy to match that. And Zion was just an unstoppable force last night. He just got to the rim time and time again, even though the game plan, was centered around slowing him down. You knew he was only going to play 30 minutes. That's what the time limit he's on for the season. So you have to really be focused in on those 30 minutes he's playing, and yet he still scored at an incredible rate, and he distributed. I thought he played the offense really well. Everything he got was in the flow of the offense, and he helped set up his 8 assists, I think set up 19 points for his teammates. So it was a masterful performance by the Pelicans, a team that haven't had many nights like that. That's the part that's really frustrating.
Alan Horton, Fox, at Wolves Radio via Twitter. Finch talks about trying. He'll talk. We've heard him say it frequently, but he said it last night again about the team trying to hit too many home runs, specifically when they're trailing. Then then Anthony says he takes hero shots because he believes he's that good and has earned the right. And it's tough for me to disagree with him on that, but it's also tough for me to disagree with Finch. So what does the Vox make of all that?
Yeah, that's a riddle wrapped inside of a conundrum. That's I think for the Wolves to execute down the stretch in clutch time, I think that's where Chris Finch is talking about it. Like, you just have to have good shots. You have to work the basketball, and Ant has proven that he's obviously an elite scorer, and this is a guy who's on a path to be in the MVP conversation every year. But I will say that he has struggled down the stretch in game-on-the-line situations where he has not hit a 3 in that situation. He has not hit a game-tying shot or go-ahead shot in the final 10 seconds of a game in his career, and he's had 15 opportunities there. I think the Wolves just need better ball movement and better offensive possessions in those final moments. And if that means him getting off the ball, getting it back, getting off it again, you can do that in 24 seconds. I just think there were too many possessions last night that just didn't result in maybe a 1-pass or 0-pass possession. And that does not make defenses work. That's not how you consistently be a top 10 offense. And the Wolves have been a top 10 offense this year, which is the struggle. The tough part is that they've been, number 6 defensively almost all season, and they've snuck into the top 10. They jumped to 9th after that win against Utah on Sunday. And so when you have a top 10 offense, top 10 defense, you should have a better record, but that points to the Wolves' struggles in late game situations, and they just have not been able to execute. And I don't think Finch's comments and Ant's comments are that far away. It's just, it's a little tweak, right? It comes down to the little things. And so if Ant hits one of those shots, I do think it's going to open the floodgates for him to hit more of those, but he just hasn't gotten over the hump yet. And there are some possessions. I thought there was a big possession when the Wolves were up by 3 with about 5 or 4 minutes, maybe 3 left to play, and they had possession. Now, one way to win in clutch time is to avoid clutch time, and the Wolves have the last 2 games, I think, have had chances to extend the lead so that you give yourself a margin for error, so it doesn't come down to a last-second possession where Obi Toppin is knocking down an incredible corner 3 to win the game, or the Pelicans, squeak one out and finish on a 7-2 run. If the margin is greater, you can absorb that. So I don't think it always has to come down to the buzzer. It's about, in that fourth quarter, making better decisions, getting higher quality shots.
Beautifully stated. Last one here. The Wolves are now 8th in the West. Yeah. I mean, this play-in scenario, it's becoming tenuous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking more and more like the Wolves are destined for the play-in, like they were 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and it's not where you want to be because I thought one of the big recipes for success last year was getting that week off before the playoffs started, avoiding the play-in altogether, having 5 days to prepare for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, and then dispatching of the Suns and then getting another 4 or 5 days to prepare for Denver. And I think when you look back at last season, the biggest thing that stands out to me is not closing out Denver sooner. Now, that's easier said than done, but going up 2-0 with both those wins coming on the road, had the Wolves been able to end that series a little shorter, maybe in 5, maybe in 6, I think they've got more preparation time for Dallas. That Dallas series started so quick, and the Wolves didn't have, they spent the extra night after Game 7 in Denver. You get home, and then the very next day you're playing again in the Western Conference Finals. You fall behind 2-0, and it was uphill from there. So the Wolves may be destined for the play-in, yet they're still only a game back of Golden State. And as bad as it's looked the last 2 games, there's 11 games left. There are plenty of wins out there. And the Wolves have shown that when they can get it going, they're a really good team. And so I think this team has bounced back before, but the problem is now you only have 11 games left. So there is a sense of urgency to do all those little things. They got them all those wins this year.
My man, fantastic work on the microphone last night. You had some masterful calls, and I appreciate the time today. Have fun tomorrow night against New Orleans, and I'll see you soon, all right?
Sounds good, PA. Appreciate the comments, and let's go Wolves. We got 11 games left. So let's just do this again next week.
Yes, sir. Alan Horton, he is the Fox on the radio for the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's 11:33 in the neighborhood. The neighborhood is KFAN. I can't wait. NCAA tournament in the air. Damn, Creighton's good. Who knew? 25-21 Creighton over Louisville in the very early stages. You know who else is good? Jonathan Allen, new defensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings. He had an excellent introductory press conference yesterday, and there he is.
First off, man, I don't even know where to start. First and foremost, we'd like to thank the Wills ownership group, Kwesi, the GM, the head coach, Kevin O'Connell. Man, so many people to thank. Super excited to be here. God, what a coach you guys have here, and I'm just really looking forward to inserting myself in and helping this organization and team win. Great culture, great team, great coaching staff, and I'm just so excited to be able to get up there and get started and get to work.
Hey, Jonathan, welcome. I'm just curious. It seems like the process came together pretty quickly for you joining the Vikings. Just what was that like for you, the kind of whirlwind, and what made the Vikings such an attractive location for you?
Yeah, so once I was told by the Commanders that I wasn't going to be re-signed, me and my agent put together a list of 5 things that were important to a city. How great everything was for the wives, for the players' families, obviously salary cap, team success, scheme, coaches, and honestly, culture. I think to have a good team and compete in the next level, you got to have a good culture. And at the very top of that list was the Minnesota Vikings. So once I found out that there was a mutual interest there, I told my agent Blake that, unless something unforeseen happens, let's go all in, let's go for it. And, I always like to say, if you have 2 people who are level-headed and want to accomplish the same thing, you'll get a deal done. So, we were able to get something done relatively fast and get this whole process over with so we can get started on the next chapter.
Jonathan, congrats on being here, man. How much crossover at Alabama did you have with Ryan Kelly? And just, I don't know if you've gone against him, but what is your feeling about him being here now with you?
Yeah, no, I think I went against him for 2 years in college. 2 or 3 years, I think 2. He was a little bit older than me, so obviously I had to learn the ropes when I first got to him. Man, I mean, when you talk about, obviously we know what he can do on the field, but off the field, him and his wife are just great human beings and great people. And when you have a guy like that for a quarterback to be under center with, it just makes everything so much better. So I love him.
Yeah, John, I was just curious about the injury you suffered last year. By the time you got to the playoffs, were you pretty much where you normally are, or were you still kind of less than 100% at that point, and where are you at now?
Yeah, no, when they went in for the surgery, it wasn't as bad as anybody anticipated or as bad as the MRI shown. And I would say about 10 to 12 weeks, I was already benching 85% of my max before. So once the playoffs came around, I was pretty much healthy. I mean, the only thing that I had to really try to get back in was football playing shape. I mean, no matter how much you're doing the Stairmaster or running on the underwater treadmill, there's no way to simulate playing football. So from a health standpoint, my pec was completely fine. It's a non-issue.
Yeah, Jonathan, I was curious what you and maybe the number one trait that you think you and Javon have that allow you to impact the quarterback from the defensive tackle position, and also how does that translate into a Flores defense?
Yeah, I think in today's football, when you can have defensive tackles who can play the run on first and second down, and then on third down, stay on the field and get after the quarterback. And, I know we all like to look at sacks, but if you can provide interior pressure with guys like Andrew Van Ginkel and JG on the outside, it just makes everybody's life easier. We're getting the quarterback off his spot. We're forcing throws high, forcing him to miss his target. So I think when you can add that element of interior pressure from the inside, I think that just helps the defense out tremendously.
Jonathan, you're part of a really big commitment by the Vikings for the interior D-line, the interior O-line also addressed. What kind of ownership do you think you veterans coming in will really have on adding to what was a successful team and building on that from those areas?
Yeah, no, whenever an organization brings you in and pays us the way they have, I mean, there's definitely a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but I put a lot of responsibility on myself to prove them right in a sense. I mean, they don't give contracts out like this easily. So I think for me, my job is to go in there from day one, prove my worth to the fans and to the coaches for believing in me and just go out there. And one thing I can always say is you're going to get everything I got, good, bad, or indifferent. So I'm looking forward to being able to go out there and just help this team continue to be the successful, dominant defense it's been.
Jonathan, I'm curious about how different schematically you think it might be. Maybe, you haven't had time to dive fully in to that, but just going from working with Dan now to Brian Flores, how creative Flores can be. Like, what have you seen schematically and where do you feel like you fit in?
Yeah, when you look at a guy like Coach Flores, man, they refer to him as a mad scientist. I mean, some games we'll be in a 3-4, bringing pressure off both ends, and some games we're switching it up. So, every week being in that playbook is a big key, but I really like how he's able to create space on the inside and allow, guys to get one-on-ones. And when you get a one-on-one in this NFL, you got to be able to win those. So I'm looking forward to just fitting right in and, doing what I can to help out.
Jonathan, kind of a two-part question. First of all, I know it's B-flow, but when you look at the other guys, the names on defense, you mentioned Van Ginkel, there's Harrison Smith coming back. When you look all across defense, did it make you salivate like I want to play with these names? And number two, people throw around the word culture. What is the most specific thing about a culture that you look for as a player to come here?
Yeah, no, when you have the defense that's been successful as they have in these last couple of years, it's definitely enticing to want to come in there because I feel like I can help out and I feel like I can help out in general. So, I mean, it was definitely exciting to have the opportunity to pair it with some of these guys and with this coaching staff. And, as far as culture, it's not something that you can tangibly touch, but you can feel it. You know what I mean? Like when something bad happens during the game, you look at the sideline for guys' reaction. And I think it becomes pretty evident of a good culture and a bad culture and how different players and different people react during certain situations in the game. And I'm a firm believer of it's really hard to win games in this football league. I mean, if you look at it, it can probably come down to 5 plays a game. And I think culture has a huge part of when those certain plays don't go your way, how do you respond? Because it's easy to turn one bad play into 2 or 3 bad plays, and that could be the difference in the game. So also, the NFL is tough and it's hard, and nobody wants to come to work every day in an environment that it's just not upbeat and no one's excited to do the job. So, I mean, that was one of the biggest reasons why I chose this place. I mean, I know Coach O'Connell from my time in Washington, and I mean, I think his reputation speaks for itself. And when I look at what he's built here, it's something that I want to be a part of.
Yeah, Jonathan, what were your impressions of Kevin in Washington? I know it was a little while ago, and he was on the other side of the ball. But what did you learn about him during that time?
Man, when you look at a guy like Coach O'Connell, I mean, I think he's just the prototypical head coach that the NFL looks for nowadays. A young, offensive-minded head coach, brilliant ideas, refreshing, reinvigorating, not doing just things just because that's the way they've been done in the past, but really bringing in his new ideas and new elements. And I mean, I love the guy. I didn't spend too much time with him when I was in Washington. I was a rookie. I mean, I was just trying to keep my head on straight. He was on offense, I was on defense. But from the times I've interacted with him and talked to him, I mean, I thought he was an awesome guy. And then, for him going from there to the Rams with Coach McVay and just knowing how that whole tree is, I just know a lot about the guy more than on the field, especially off the field.
Hey, Jonathan, Javon mentioned it, but the Vikings kind of have a reputation, their organization around the league with the NFLPA report cards and things like that. I'm wondering what you knew about the Vikings organization and how much that kind of thing matters to players.
Yeah, so my agent and my financial advisor are both based out of Minneapolis. So I'm usually up here 2-3 times a year. And, going into this offseason, I definitely wanted to take my family into consideration. I'll probably say it was between 20 and 50% of my decision. And when you look at year in and year out how they're graded, I mean, when your wife and your family is able to have a great life and be included and be involved in so many things with the community, it definitely makes that decision a lot easier. So I definitely say it played a part for sure.
Yeah, Jonathan, Javon did mention that you guys met at the Pro Bowl. I was curious what your thoughts are on his game and how that complements you guys in a Brian Flores defense.
Yeah, it's funny. When he was on Philadelphia, I've always looked at him as not my rival, but my competitor. I mean, I think every guy in this league is competing with the top guys in their position. So for us to be able to line up and play with each other, I'm super excited about it. I mean, obviously, what he can do. He can rush the passer from the inside. He can take on double teams. He can play the run. And I'm looking to help boost his game and vice versa. And I really think that we can go out there and do great things. But again, it's early. I mean, it's March. No games are won in March. So right now we're just trying to put the work in, trying to get as acclimated as we can as soon as possible. That way when OTA start, we can, hit the ground running. But, man, we're really excited to be here.
Would you say that Flores' defense turns you guys loose inside more? Or, you guys both have a reputation getting to the quarterback, getting sacks. Is this going to enhance that? Or is it different enough to do that?
I definitely think it will. I think it's multiple factors. I mean, Coach Flores is one of the best in the game. I mean, when you play guys beside guys like Van Ginkel and JG, I mean, it just makes your job that much easier. So it's definitely going to be exciting. Don't want to promise too much because we still got a lot of work to put in, but just excited to be here and get started.
Hi, Jonathan. Welcome to Minnesota, to the Vikings. I'm just curious. I know that you've shared before kind of along your journey about your relationship with your dad and his impact on you. I'm curious, how much his influence has played into just your outlook on the game, whether it's the culture, how you approach the game, et cetera.
Yeah, no. Thank you for having me. I would say my dad affects me in more ways than I could probably really, count, through the good and through the bad. Through the good, he keeps me level-headed. And through the bad, he never lets me sink too low and just mentally helps me stay on a straight and narrow. I mean, God, man, I talk to him after every game, after every practice. So he's definitely aware of what's going on day to day for me. And he's just there to help encourage me and continue to push me. And honestly, between him, my wife, and my older brother, they're one of the three major reasons of why I am who I am right now.
Jonathan, those visits you made up here, they were in the summer, probably, right? Not necessarily the winter.
So it's funny. Actually, I came when the Super Bowl was there.
Oh,
it was -14. So I've come up twice in the summer and once in the winter, usually every year. So I know the winters could be pretty brutal. But, I mean, my wife's from Champaign, Illinois. I spent some time in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. So it might not be as cold as here, but I think I'll be able to manage the weather.
Okay, one more. The experience from last year for you guys going deep in the playoffs. I mean, just what did that mean to you after a lot of years of grinding?
It meant a lot. I mean, it was, in a weird way, I was so excited for the fans to be able to be excited about something and root for something positive. And not always be the butt of the joke in the NFL. And it was just such an incredible experience. You know, obviously we weren't happy with the way it ended, but man, I wouldn't trade last year in for anything. And, you know, I'm looking forward to this upcoming season.
Jonathan, from one Allen to another, welcome to the Covenant. Can't wait to watch you play. Thank you for listening to 9 to Noon today. We feast tomorrow. It's the Friday Football Feast, and I'm Paul Allen. Have a wonderful day. Here comes Big Daddy Khan with the wrap on the show.
Big boy's back.
Now, what did I do wrong?
Good stuff.
The game is over.
Happy day, drinking day, beginning of the tourney. Next few weeks, dedicated, magical journey. All my brackets perfect. Happy to hear about it. I knew this obscure upset would happen. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Choose my mascot or rolling some dice. I mean, you're at the bar so long, you had to eat twice. Come home and tell your gal like she even cares a lick that you made $20 on a McNeese State pick. Come on now. If you didn't hear it before, the talk of the town, it could be Rondale Moore, Isaiah Rodgers, sneaky roster potentially deep, even if half of the new guys came off the scrap heap. But hey, now all of this a welcome distraction to keep us from intense emotional reactions. Wolves schedule, I guess it was can't miss. Instead, right now, man, they're looking so hapless.
No love for my Golden State Warriors.
Duty EB.
And that's a fact.
There are many, many positives I can get out of this game.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.